Right, welcome to Ampocalypse with me, Damian FitzGerald, and today I'm joined by the fantastic Danny Case from Ashes to New. Uh, your band are about to launch their new album Reflections, which is a kick-ass album, by the way. When
Thank
you
you.
get a chance to hear it, you're not going to be disappointed. Now, fans have already had the opportunity for the singles Drag Me, Villain, New Disease, and most recently, Die For You. And now, with some tour dates coming up in the UK and Europe, as well as some US shows coming up, I believe, as well, with Black Veil Brides and Shinedown.
Yes.
Now that's cool, man.
Yeah. We are very, very busy. We are hitting Europe in like April 7th to April 17th in that time frame. And then we fly back home, get a few days at home, and go right out on the Black Veil Brides tour. That goes till the end of May. And then we have uh 4 weeks at home. It's not really because you got to rehearse. There's stuff you got to do. There's always work being done, and then we go out on Shinedown. So it's going to be really, really busy.
It's a busy 2026, sir. Well,
Which is
in
a
the
good thing.
second Cool. Now, in the second part of this interview, though, we're going to throw you into your very own apocalypse, and it's going to be a Mad Max style wasteland that you're going to try and survive.
Okay.
You're going to be living on the road. So, Danny, welcome to your apocalypse, and we're going to start by talking about Reflections, which is about to land on the 17th of April, I believe.
That's correct.
Yeah, and you're playing a London show on that day. So, like for us in London, that's something special. I think we'll talk about
Yeah,
that in a bit,
we
though.
we didn't like brand it or advertise it or promote it as like a CD release show, but kind of is, which, if there's a cool place to do it, London is definitely the place to do it. That's a cool place to have
Yeah,
an album release show.
yeah. Well, the planets have aligned. Not necessarily for you guys. You could have done that anywhere, but for us in London, it's absolutely spot on. Now, how does it feel for you knowing that the album is soon to drop? And, what are you most looking forward to for fans hearing this album?
Yeah, I mean, there's one part of me that's like, man, it is about damn time. We worked our asses off on this record. The normal amount of time that we spent in the studio, we made a bunch of songs and threw most of it out. And then we went back in for about another entire length of that time to make more music and spent every night outside of the studio working on music. And all the little breaks that we had during the studio time, we just spent writing. So we worked our butts off, and then beyond that, afterwards, we worked on more music. And I think we were like changing and editing things at home and submitting things like up until the very last day. So like it was a ton of work. We're so happy to have it come out. We're excited to see what people think and who's got what favorite song. Because like when we were looking at the record, we were like, we're not sure that any of these songs stand head and shoulders above the others. Maybe I think "Die for You" is definitely a strong one that we all really, really felt. Um, but there was just so many different songs. We're like, oh, that's a good one too. Or like, that's a good one. Like, that's a good one. There's like, we've had albums in the past where we're like, there was a very clear line between like, okay, these are like the really good songs. These songs are fine too, but these are like the really good songs. It's the whole record really feels strong, and like to pick a top five would, for me, and I know for the other guys, be impossible. So I'm excited to see what people are going to think, what they're going to have in their like top three, top five, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just excited to see the reaction it gets.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would say, was it Drag Me? That is a terrific opening song. And Die For You, it's very, how to anthemy for me. But what I found
Yeah.
brilliant about the record is I sort of listened to it from beginning to end, and I'm trying not to dig myself into a hole here. It sort of melded into one for me, but in a really good way. I was like, this song's great. This song's great. So
Yeah.
hopefully that's not like me saying, oh, but no, it was a good album. It was really fantastic. But I think you're right.
Thank
Difficult to pinpoint a particularly top, like number one song, at least for me at the moment.
Yeah, I'm glad you feel the same way too, because like each of the songs kind of has their own identity too, to where like there's not too many that are like close enough to each other where you could get, okay, I'll pick that one over that one. It's they all really kind of have their own feel, their own vibe, and so I think that's what's special about the record.
Yeah. Now, fans have already heard several tracks from the album. As I've said, there's Drag Me, there's Villain, New Disease. How do those songs sort of represent the wider themes of Reflections? And are there any particular tunes you're
Yeah.
looking to unleash on the public, especially in a live environment?
Yeah, New Disease was the first one that we dropped and kind of had the I don't want to say it was an outlier as a theme because I think Black Hearts touches on similar things too. Because we always kind of touch on things about the world kind of in general, or like the idea of like where we envision the world kind of is, even though maybe day to day kind of looks normal. It kind of when we look at the world as a whole, we're like, man, we are on a fast track to hell. It seems like sometimes. So, uh, that song in particular, I think had a theme that wasn't directly correlated with the metaphor that the album stood for, which was like reflecting on your life, the ups and downs, heaven and hell, all of that stuff, like the places, the various places you can be in your life. So that one was kind of like one angle. Villain was kind of another one where it kind of is like, like the relationships in your life. And how those can drag you through hell. And then Drag Me is just maybe that's kind of more of a general like theme of the album where it's kind of like it could be anything. It could be a person, it could be a substance, it could be your work, it could be anything in life that has just taken your happy little existence and pulled you underneath. So the songs also sonically, I think, had a different vibe too. So like Drag Me, I think, is a little more of a From Ashes to New Staple, kind of like right up our alley. I think New Disease was an evolution for us and kind of sounded more serious and like heavier and darker. And then Villain was just like a kind of totally different style that we haven't really done before. So we wanted to be kind of versatile in the sounds and in the themes that we were putting out before the album dropped. So they all kind of are nice little tastes of the album and kind of gets a little bit of all the flavors in there.
Now, one of the things that struck me is Drag Me actually cracked the top 20 of the Billboard mainstream rock chart, as I understand it. When you heard that, like, what did it mean to you guys to actually hear that, one of your tunes had done this? 'Cause it's always good to hear, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm really proud of this one especially, and I'm proud of our team, and I'm very thankful to all the radio stations too, because we've had a few that have gone, top five or top 10 or whatever, but this one specifically, we've always been told in the past, like radio doesn't like rap and radio doesn't like screaming. And so whenever the label wants to take a song to radio, they're like, we got to have as little of that as possible because we want the best song with the most, rock features to have the best chance at going number one. And we get that. We understand that. The label took a chance on this one. They were like, we're going with this song. And we're like, what? Like, really? Like, yeah, we're going with Dragon. Like, it's got two rap verses and an entire bridge of screaming. Like, we're sending it. We're like, wow, that's awesome. Like, kudos. And the radio stations are going out on a limb and playing it for us. And it seems to be being received well. And so to see that song in particular in top 20 is awesome. Maybe it can break top 10. Maybe it can be our first number one. That would be absolutely ridiculous if that song can get to number one. But we're grateful for every spot that it takes.
Yeah. Well, at least you didn't have to break into a radio station Airhead style to get your single heard. I don't know if you've seen that film, but yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, absolutely. Well, was the one guy who just played the one song just all day long, over and over, the whole
pretty
day, got
much.
fired for it? What a legend.
Yeah. Now, this record does follow on from Blackout, I believe, which was, was a really strong moment for the band. Now, did you feel any pressure with Reflections, to sort of meet that kind of level, creatively?
Absolutely. And I think that's why we threw out a batch of songs in the beginning, because we put so much pressure on ourselves, and that kind of messed, I think, with the writing process. We could have just gone in and just trusted, that we're better musicians now, we're better artists, we're better at, you know, writing, and we could have trusted in that. And probably had some smooth sailing, but we were like, it's got to be better, it's got to be better, it's got to be better. And I think initially that was such a shock that we weren't living up to what we wanted to be. And so then we took a step back and we're like, okay, we've got to right this ship and figure it out. And so the second half of the process was much better. And all of that critiquing and picking apart, I think we dialed it in just right to where we were making the right decisions and going, is this the best part? Should we rewrite this? There were things that were just completely nixed and something else was put in there and parts that were changed on the last day, and it all ended up working out and was all for the benefit. But in the beginning, it was like we were just pulling ourselves apart. So there was absolutely a pressure for sure. And I think that it was good because we have now learned from that. And we know going forward, like, okay, we know how to get ourselves in trouble. We know how to get ourselves out of trouble. And we need to just stay the course and keep moving forward and making great music that we know we can make.
Cool. Now, we've briefly touched on this. You are heading out on, tour around Europe and the UK, um, and the demand has actually been huge. I read that was it two of the shows sold out in like 30 minutes. What's your reaction to hearing that kind
Yeah.
of like response?
Yeah,
Because
Cologne and Hamburg both sold out in minutes, and that was wild. We knew that we had a really strong fan base, specifically in Germany. But then to actually see it come to fruition, we were like, wow, that is wild. And then we upgraded one of the shows. The other one, there were no other availability, so it's stuck in that size venue, which is okay. It's still good size. So, but the other one we upgraded to like triple the size, sold out in 2 days. We're like, oh my god, man, that is wild. And then we added a Berlin date, and that one's going to be sold out too. So we're like, wild. And all the other shows are going to end up selling out too, based on just like the numbers week over week and how long we have until the shows come. The whole tour is going to sell out.
yeah, well, we did touch on the fact that the London show, the planets have aligned for us, and we're getting the album launch. Is there going to be anything special you're going to bring to London? Some tracks that you might not be playing, and the first part of the tour because the album's dropping.
Yeah, I don't know if we probably should plan something to do, because it's going to be, album release day. We'll have to, talk it over and see what we can do about like doing something special. This being our first time as this group coming over to Europe, we're obviously taking quite the hit already just to do the tour and make it happen. But we knew that we owed the fans a show and for all the time that they've waited, and they obviously are showing up. The shows are
Yeah.
selling out like crazy. Um, but we are still like taking a pretty heavy hit, and we're having to bring as like little as possible. So we're gonna have to get creative about, if we do something special, or maybe if it's just playing a certain song or whatever just for that show, maybe we can do that. So well, that's something we'll have to chat about as a group.
Now, is there any particular songs from Reflection that you're like really excited to like play live, perhaps for the first time during this tour?
Yeah, we are still picking out exactly what we want to play. I think we have an idea for the most part. Um, The one song that I think I'd really, really want to play, we might not ever play, but it is one of my favorites off the record. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe it does really well, and then we will get the opportunity to play it. So the one that I would love to play, I will see if we end up getting to play it. Right now, it looks like it's going to be like, you know, New Disease and the songs that are out currently, and then maybe one more that I don't want to give away yet. So
Absolutely fine.
but we'll see about playing anything else. Yeah,
Yeah.
we aren't 100% sure yet.
Yeah. Well, I would say ask the fans, what do they want to hear? But the problem with British fans, if you ask them that, I mean, we're renowned for going, what do you want to name this boat? We'll call it Boaty McBoatface. So we've got, yeah.
Yeah.
So don't put it to the fans because you'll end up with the worst possible set list.
Right,
People
right, very
don't know
good.
what they want. Now, going back to the other side of the world, or the Atlantic, sorry, the band are about to hit the road as well to support Black Veil Brides, and then later in the summer, a big one with Shinedown. How does it feel like sort of going from your own headlining shows sort of in Europe to sort of arena level shows in the US? What's the difference, and what do you actually prefer venue
You
wise?
know, I think I think all of it is going to be special because on one hand, we haven't been to Europe in almost 10 years, and that is going to be special because the fans are feral. They're crazy right now. They are more excited than anything about these shows happening. So for us, that is something that is special that we haven't uh, really gotten in a while because like we tour the US so much. So it's like the headlining shows in the US, you kind of get used to it, but it's like going to a place you haven't really been before and having the support that we're getting is really awesome and really special. And that's not something that any arena can capture. Um, However, the big arena shows are awesome, and those ones are always so cool because you dream of that stuff as a kid. You dream of being in the spotlight and on the stage in front of a bunch of people and playing your music, and so we're very grateful to Shinedown for having us out. And we know it's going to be awesome. They are some of the greatest guys in the world. And then for the Black Veil tours, like a lot of the rooms are a little bit bigger than the rooms that we normally headline in, but we're excited to be supporting a band that is kind of not in the same lane as us, but like the next lane over. And our
Yeah.
fan bases, I think, are going to get along together really, really well. And I think that they're going to pick up a bunch of fans from us that maybe haven't paid attention. And their fans, I think, are going to get along and really like our music. So we're excited to play with a band that is kind of like adjacent stylistically
Yeah.
to us. I think it's going to be great. We're friends with a couple of the guys in the band, so it's going to be a good time, and we love those dudes. So it's going to be an awesome year. And each tour has got its own kind of thing. Where like the European thing is like we have been dying to get over there. We're finally making it happen. The fans are making us feel real special. So we're loving that. Then the Blackville tour is going to be great. And there's going to be lots of friends on that tour, good shows. I think a good amount of them will sell out. And then the Shinedown tour is the arena one. And it's like, how do you pick between all of that? It's gonna be
Yeah.
it's gonna be a great summer. I'm gonna soak up every second of it. And because at any point in time, all of this could end. It could be gone tomorrow. And I'm not gonna spend my time doing anything but being grateful and loving every second of it.
Good answer. Now, you did say Black Veil Bride fans and From Ashes to New fans should get along quite well. I'm going to propose to you, let's see how well they get along. Get them to do a wall of death against each other and see who comes out on top. That'll
If
be
you're
fun.
here for Blackville, over here. If you're here for
Exactly.
Majesty, over here.
Just hope there's not one guy on one side being like, I'm doomed.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's a myth, bands having much downtime when they're actually on tour. But while you're over in Europe and the UK, if you get some downtime, what would you most like to do or go and see while, if you get that opportunity?
Yeah. I definitely want to try a bunch of food. That'll be awesome. Um, I'd like to see some sights if possible. Uh, and those are really the two big things. We're probably gonna be spending a lot of time in the venues on our show days, and we have mostly show days. So it'll be just like any other tour where it's like, yes, we're in X city for one day, but we're also at the venue and we're not really able to go and do much else. And there's you got VIP to do and sound check and then get ready for the show and then the show itself. And so I'm hoping we'll get some time to see the sights a little bit. But we're probably going to be very busy. But I'm hoping for a little bit of food, a little bit of views.
Well, if you want a recommendation for food, if you're a big fan of pizza and you're in Camden in London, look up Lost Boys Pizza. I think that's what it's still called. It's basically a vampire themed
Okay.
pizzeria. So if you're a
Nice.
pizza fan and you love the goth thing,
Of course, I'm a
check it
pizza
out.
fan. Yeah.
There we go. Check that place out if you get a chance. Now, we're going to move into the Ampocalypse section of the interview, the
All right.
fun part I always find. So the time has come, the world has collapsed, and we are living in a Mad Max style wasteland. Cities have fallen, fuel is scarce, and survival becomes whatever you can use to keep moving. So, Danny, welcome to your Ampocalypse. And because you're going to be on tour so much, first things first, the world has ended, and your tour bus is now your survival machine. What modifications are you going to make to it to make it the ultimate apocalypse vehicle?
Oh yeah, you definitely have to reinforce the lower outside exterior fences or whatever barbed wire, put that down low on the sides. Probably enclose the tires. That way they can't get, popped. You'd have to put something over it to make sure that those don't go, because if those go, you're just living in a house at that point. A house with three wheels or two wheels maybe. On the interior, there's not much you really have to do on the interior. There's a lot of good amenities in there and on the inside, but on the outside also would solar panels that would probably help power the bus because fuel's scarce. So if I can get my hands on some solar panels and wire that baby up to power itself, um, that way you don't have to have as much fuel draw. You don't have to run the generator. That is very important because those buses get about a mile and a half to the gallon when you take into consideration everything that is being powered. So cover that thing on the top and solar panels, fences and barbed wire on the lower sides, cap the wheels with whatever you can to reinforce the bus, and then reinforce the rest of the bus, with some more metal. So I think that would do. That would probably be good.
To say, that is a really sensible answer with the solar panels. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
stealing
yeah.
that when the apocalypse actually happens because no, I wouldn't even have thought of that. I hope you got someone technical that knows how to do this stuff. Now,
Well, it
ev
depends on if there's still any internet, because I would have to go to YouTube University and look it up and watch some videos. So hopefully there's still some satellites running. I can run some internet.
it'll be sod's law that the only thing still working, no water, no nothing, but the internet's running somehow.
That'd be great.
So
Yeah.
now every single crew has its heroes and its weak links. So from ashes to new, who is your MVP of the group when it comes to the survival, and who is
Yeah.
likely to be the first man down in this scenario?
I'm gonna say that Matt and Maddie are gonna be uh our two guys. Matt is definitely the organizer and the leader and the kind of like decision maker. Maddie's really good also at organizing and uh just being aware of surroundings in general. Um, I am a space cadet, so the chances of me walking off the edge of a cliff or into a death trap is probably pretty high. Um, as far as our like entire crew or just the band, it's hard to say who would die first. Probably Lance and I would go pretty quick. We'd probably be okay with that. um, Jimmy would probably be fine unless it was like, it came down to it. There's no food. He can't fight us off. We eat him first. Um, that maybe he dies first if we can't find food. We go, sorry, Jimmy, you're the smallest of the bunch. Everybody else is gonna put up a pretty good fight. You might not have a ton of meat on you, but at least sustain us for a while. So we'll eat Jimmy. Jimmy might die first because we eat him because we run out of food. um, Other than that, man, unless it's like a lack of awareness and just being a space cadet, I could totally step on a mine and die in a heartbeat.
I have to say, I love how you went from being sensible with solar panels to descending into cannibalism on like what, the second, third day.
Hey, when you have no food and no water for a week, eating someone sounds pretty sensible.
That is true.
Yeah.
Now, if you could only blast one song from Reflections while tearing across the wasteland in a tour bus, what song would you personally feel would be that anthem for that environment?
I'm gonna go with Upside Down. So it's got a really cool cinematic vibe to it, a lot of cool atmospheric tones and stuff like that, and really great chorus. Breakdown's awesome, and it says you can't escape this hell, which is perfect. So I'm gonna go with Upside Down.
Perfect. Well, Danny, I do want to say thank you so much for joining us on Ampocalypse today. I think it's safe to say at least half of the band has survived. Maybe not yourself, but
Maybe
at
not. I
least half.
probably accident. Matt always says that if it ever came to it and we were in a war, I would die from trench foot first too. So there's that too. I'm a very moist person, so there's a lot of reasons why I would die. Like, especially if it's like a deadly outbreak. I'm so like hands touching my face, and I'm the first one to get sick all the time. So I would certainly die for sure if that were the case too. So
I don't know about an outbreak. We've had COVID and you made it through that. So
I did. Yeah. Yeah,
there
that
you
was a
go.
fun time. Fun times for sure.
Danny, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck with the tours. Have a terrific 2026. And to anyone
Thanks.
watching this, make sure you check out Reflections. You won't be sorry. Thank you so
Appreciate
much, my
it.
friend. Take care,
Thanks,
man.
man. Take care.
Bye.